Welcome, everyone. We are now in game number 2 between Quixoticism and Stormshout. This is the MSL Season 2 Code Platinum semifinals. We are on Neoplanet S, the one with the cool snow tile set and the crazy thing that makes for base races. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the green Terran player now, Quixoticism, who won game number 1 in a very convincing manner. And his opponent up here in the top right, the orange Zerg player, Stormshout. It was a very close match. It came down to a big battle right in the middle of Star Station. And I agree. So, somewhat embarrassingly, I will say that I'm actually generally afraid to play people because I can watch my own games after watching so many pro games, so many MSL games, so many other games. I can see where I have total lack of skill, and I feel like I want to practice that until at least I feel like I'm doing okay, because I have no problem losing to people that are better than me. I just have a hard time losing when I know that I could have played a lot better. And when I do play people, I'm very jittery. It's quite sad. However, I do totally enjoy games. It's just, it takes me a little while to warm back up to things. So, especially if I haven't played in a while, I want to play some games against computers before I am ready to play against people to make sure I get all those jitters completely out of my system. And another thing I'm going to shout out is that Quixoticism is actually playing random. Full props for doing that. I actually play random myself. It's very entertaining. You get to play with all the fun things from all the same races, and it really keeps your opponent guessing. An excellent blocking here, keeping that base from going down for quite some time. Look at that. This is super annoying. Going for a supply depot, generally you go with the engineering bay as they build a little bit more quickly. And this will be taken out. The supply depot should be taken out as well, but delaying that expansion by a good amount of time. That's an excellent job. Good job there. So, kind of interesting. We don't have a orbital command as of yet. We do have gas. It went down at roughly the normal time, and we don't see anything being used from that. It looks like he's dealing with that drone in his main line. Ooh, he's going to go with the command center. Wonder what the early gas was for then. Looks like we'll probably see some sort of Reaper, or you could actually just be going for a fast factory. In fact, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah, queuing up some more Marines. Going to be throwing down a factory here in just a moment. Marine, go ahead and getting that kill. Where's the factory? There's the factory. Okay, so, ooh, faking out. Was that on purpose? I don't think that. I'm a little bit worried. Okay. Oh my goodness, that's so lucky. So Stormshout, I do believe, thinks that his opponent is going for a fast command center build, and instead he's not. He's going to be going for some aggressive play, perhaps. He has not started another command center down here in the bottom, which lends me to believe that he is in fact going for something more aggressive. Only one gas geyser down so far. Additional SCVs are being produced. We do now have orbital command. His opponent is at 2 bases. He does have the spawning pool done. He does have some gas income, not too much. Should be throwing down a roach warren sometime soon, although that would depend on what exactly he sees. His opponent has also left that area, so he doesn't know that his opponent, Quixoticism, is not fast expanding. He's throwing down additional barracks, although this is actually going to hit a little bit later-ish. He's going to be doing siege tanks. We're going to go retro style. Awesome. I say retro style because most of the time you see biomine being done, and not so much. Wow, okay, this is just a little bit weird. It looks like Quixoticism can't really make up his mind. He's amassing money for what appears to be a command center here. Going for a defensive wall. But he canceled that early advantage he had. If he'd kept this command center here, he would have saved 100 minerals. It would have been done. It would have already been down here and working, and he would have still had all of this. So this might not go as well. I wonder if... so most people that play random picked a race at some point in time to begin with and then started experimenting with others, and I wonder if Quixoticism was Protoss and then started playing random, or if this was a terrible, terrible mistake and he doesn't actually play random and he's just guessing at everything. I doubt that is the case. But that would make a little bit of sense. We do have the roach horn done. We have some roaches already produced. Speed is almost done for Lings. We don't have a lair as of yet, so Stormshout is going to be really low on tech. It does have an additional Queen. Could be for use against some roaches. Wow. When I say roaches, I meant Hellions, but I saw roaches, so I said roaches. The Siege Tanks here will be able to clear everything up, and he will reveal the fact that he has gone for Siege Tanks. And then Stormshout should be able to, wow, to deal with that appropriately. Yeah, losing 2 roaches for absolutely no damage. So Siege Tanks, proving that they are worth their weight in gold. His opponent, so Stormshout is just going to keep producing Lings and drones. What's he going to do next? We do have an armory going down, so it looks like we might be seeing Hellbats, or perhaps Thors. Generally, at this point in time, it's much more common to see Hellbats. These Siege Tanks are also a little bit too close for my liking, especially these 2 here. This one's actually in a good place. Roaches can't quite hit that without getting too close and getting pummeled by everything, but roaches could come in here. I would also like to see a Siege Tank maybe right about here. That would be great. We're going to see, yes, I do believe we're going to see a reactor out of this, yes, and then we're going to see Hellion production once this armory is done. So, pretty expected, I think, at this point in time, with how popular Hellbats have become. I do believe that they have been changed. They no longer do bonus damage versus light, as far as I understand. So, just macroing up. He's going to be building 2 more factories. He's going to be going heavy mech. I wonder if he's going to go for mines as well or not. It's hard to tell. Additional marine production should be kicking into high gear in just a moment. Man, Siege Tanks, so good. Splash damage. Single-player Siege Tanks, by the way, are a boss in Wings of Liberty, because they started out in Wings of Liberty originally doing 50 damage per shot, and look at that, it's down to 35, but it's versus 50. It's for 50 versus armored, but they started out doing, actually it was either 50 or 60, but in single-player they're definitely 60, and then you can get upgrades to do crazy things like add like 60 damage. It's so good, so crazy. SCVs, scouting around, just pro tip, if you have SCVs and Marines, always scout with the SCVs. They're a little bit faster, and they cost the same, but they produce quicker. So unless you're really behind in workers, generally it's better to scout with workers instead of Marines, as you get more intel. Just continuing to macro up, it looks like we have an infestation pit on the way from Stormshout. The food count is pretty much equal. The worker count, though, is vastly in favor of Stormshout. So the longer that this game goes on, this could go really, really well for Stormshout, particularly what he wants to do with this infestation pit. Infestors, not near as popular as they were in Wings of Liberty, and now in Heart of the Swarm. In fact, they used to be called Winfesters, because it seems like you could just get a whole bunch of them and fungal growth everything, and then you just win. Now that they nerfed fungal growth by simply allowing... There's an actual projectile, so you can kind of dodge it, and it takes a little bit longer to hit. Made a big difference, and so you don't see as many of them. So generally, when you see the infestation pit, you are going to see swarm hosts, but we may or may not see that. So we are now up to, wow. Okay, so the marine production was not in fact marine production, it was instead Hellbat production, and now it's going to be Marauder, Hellbat, Siege Tank? This could be fun. Bam! Too bad for that one Hellbat, got shot by his own Siege Tank. How sad. It looks like this attack could do pretty well. He's got an advantage in the army supply, but now that this attack is actually happening, yeah, you're going to see a whole bunch of units coming out of Stormshout. He's going to be supply blocked a little bit here. Stim is not quite done. That's dangerous. And so is Combat Shield. That's also not good. And also, these units are not... The structures aren't building like anything. That's bad. When you go move out, you need to get... Oh no, a whole bunch of Marauders. Yeah, when you move out, you need to keep producing, otherwise you have no reinforcements. He's going to siege up. The base is not sealed off, but with this many Hellbats this close, he's going to lose a few workers, but not too much. Everything can get cleaned up there. The siege tanks here are doing lots of damage, but they are now fully exposed. he didn't get the kill on all of the Swarm Hosts. Swarm Hosts generally not too good as... Oh no. Generally, Swarm Hosts not too good as defensive units. They're doing okay here though, because they actually have units to support them. He needs to get these siege tanks up here. He needs to get those here, and you need to stop shooting eggs. That's generally a waste of time. And now the siege tanks once again at the back because they have the longest range and the slowest moving. He's going to start losing those siege tanks if he's not careful. He needs to siege up. He is starting to get the creep cleared back. Siege! Need to siege! You need to siege! You should have sieged already. There, the siege does go down. You did lose one tank already, and this attack's going to start petering out a little bit. Especially, look at all those banelings. He could get a lot of them there. The siege tank going to get focused down by some Swarm Hosts. Swarm Hosts, those are actually Zerglings, and all these banelings actually get killed before they finish, and actually now Stormshout is in a big bit of trouble. Whole bunch of units hugging your hatchery is not generally as friendly as it sounds. We do have a whole bunch of mutas coming out, and there's actually nothing to shoot up, which can actually be a really big problem for him. 6 mutas could take out all of this. Oh no, okay, so there were Marines. I thought that was only Marauders. Man, I'm just not on it today. I apologize for everything. Some medevacs coming out, and just turning into a really good 2-base aggression build from Quixoticism, and it looks like Stormshout perhaps was a little bit too greedy. As he did have a huge lead there, he just didn't react in time, couldn't get enough units out, as he was supply blocked at a very, very crucial moment. He didn't have enough supply overhead, or they call it a hat of supply. Usually as a Zerg player you want to have at least 20 or 30. So then you can flood out units, and instead he had 6 or so supply, and then Overlord died, so he went negative. He couldn't produce, and that ended up being what was one of the largest problems there, is he didn't have enough units. And then also, Stormhost just not really good at defending. They're just not. They need to have spore crawlers and spine crawlers there to protect them, so then they can fall back if something goes bad. So I think other than that, it was a pretty straightforward game. Excellent build from Quixoticism, taking game number 2, and Stormshout. I thought you might actually come back for a moment in that game, but with that not enough headroom and supply, it ended up not going as well, I think, as you probably had wanted. But it's a best of 5. 2-0, you're not out yet. I'm excited to watch the next set of games, so we'll be back in a minute.